Our last panelist doesn't need much introduction. Her and her family have been part of this community for over 30 years. Grateful to have her join us today. We have Martha Johnson, one of the founding brokers of Big Sky Real Estate Company. Martha, thank you for joining us today.
Blythe.
Wonderful. Awesome. So we thought, Martha, we'd bring you on for really to talk primarily about real estate. The biggest investment usually anyone ever makes in their life is real estate. And there's not a person out there right now who's thinking about how is COVID and this pandemic going to affect the real estate market. So while it's probably a little too early to tell, I thought, we're almost 30 days into this. And obviously this trend has been going on around the world for a little bit longer than that, is we would start to open up that conversation for our listeners on what's happening in the real estate market. So if we were to sum it up right now, primarily since Big Sky shut down, how has the real estate market been doing and faring thus far?
It's been interesting. I think the first week after the resort shut down, abruptly ended our season, being about, I think, as you mentioned, 22 days into this. We were lucky enough to be primarily through our winter season. We arguably had about 30 days left of the ski season. I think real estate as well as restaurants and businesses are all grateful that we had the majority of the winter. There was a panic, a lot of phone calls and collaboration, just talking out different situations and circumstances in the first week. We saw about 19 transactions in the month of March terminate, compared to about 6 the previous year in the month of March. But then on the flip side, I think our team has had really meaningful conversations with our clients. Life has slowed down for everybody. People have stepped back from watching the minute by minute stock market going off a cliff and really started to look at what's big picture and the best family quality for them in their next stages, and having really meaningful and detailed conversations with us as their real estate advisors on how to make this purchase a reality. Silver lining is that interest rates are incredibly attractive and banks have money to loan, which is very different than the economic downturn. And so I'm starting to see, and I think as a team, we're starting to see our clients really look at what their life, what they want it to look and feel like, how they want to interact from this time going forward. And all of us in Big Sky represent a lifestyle that's very attractive to a lot of people. And so we're doing a lot of hand-holding.
Right.
We're offering resources to clients.
Absolutely.
As far as stats, it's really interesting. We pulled some MLS stats from January 1 to March 31st, 2019. We did 75 units to the tune of about 65 million. And in 2020, January 1 to March 31st, we've done relatively the same, 76 closings, but we've had about a 37% increase in sales dollar volume.
Sure. Well, that's interesting. And I know that, and you touched on it a little bit, that one of the saving graces that we have with this real estate market is we did enter it with very strong fundamentals in terms of low interest rates, low inventory rates, relatively low, debt that was taken out on a lot of purchases, and less speculators as we saw in the 08. So maybe just touch on that for people to understand maybe why we won't see as strong of correction as we did in the 08 recession.
Well, just looking in Big Sky at the infrastructure we have in place, in 08, the ski mountain was an entirely different place. What Big Sky Resort has done with our lift infrastructure, our food and beverage amenities, expanding terrain is really incredible. We have more bars, restaurants, shops, hardware stores, grocery stores. We have a hospital. we have a high school. These are things not too in the distant past we just didn't have as a community. So these resources have really created a foundation, a strong foundation of support moving forward.
Absolutely. You obviously are very involved with some of the larger projects in Big Sky, including Spanish Peaks, which is home to the Montage, which is, you know, a massive project for this region and for the state. What can you tell people about where Spanish Peaks in particular stands with all these big construction projects that were going on? And there was a tremendous amount of vertical construction happening there.
It's still going forward. The teams are being very cautious and practicing a safe health work environment with CDC guidelines. But these projects are moving forward. I think globally, we all hope that this is behind us as quickly as possible, and resources are wide open to try and find ways to get through this as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, these projects are moving forward with anticipation of recovery in the near future, and just being as cautious and healthy as possible.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'll say that if you could answer it in one sentence for each of these. If I was a buyer of real estate today, what advice would you give me?
As a buyer of real estate, interest rates are low. Keep your money. Go to the banks, borrow money at incredibly attractive rates. You can still write off your interest. And our lifestyle is beautiful, and our community together. I always use the analogy of a samurai sword. Together, we are all going through this fire together, and hopefully we come out on the other side stronger and sharper. But it's a low for a seller, you know, it's a very low inventory. As a buyer, get in the market.
All right. And so I guess the converse is, if I'm a seller and I'm walking into your office today and saying, now what? What advice are you giving me?
As a seller?
As a seller.
We have very limited inventory. We would welcome the opportunity to strategize with you on your timing of bringing your product to market. And right now in real estate, we're sharpening the tools in our toolbox with photography, stronger and more details on every property. We're learning new resources, how to communicate virtually, and who knows, you know, as buyers and sellers navigate this new normal of virtual communication, we may be even busier.
Yeah. Martha, your family, as I opened with, have been a part of this community for a long time, and brothers and other family members own a variety of different types of businesses in town. How's everybody doing? I mean, how are their businesses faring, and anything kind of interesting that you would like to share in regard to that landscape of your family's investments and businesses in town?
Well, thankfully, you know, our family's tight. We're all healthy. We stay in touch with each other regularly. But it's mixed blessings. Everyone's cash flow has stopped, and we earn our living here in Big Sky and reinvest those dollars that we make in Big Sky back into the businesses. My brother with Grizzly Outfitters, along with a lot of company in retail and food and beverage, they're really nervous. They're getting very creative in how to rebound back from this. And I know that they're talking to their collective communities to figure out how to, again, with social media and websites, and how to not go under from an impact like this. As far as our commercial projects, we're cautiously optimistic. We're you know, we're trying to keep our powder dry, if you will, but also strategically keep moving forward, because our projects are more geared towards the support of the community, primarily in community housing, employee housing.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Before I go over to Joe, I guess last question is, you also play an integral role with another great foundation in town, the Spanish Peaks Community Foundation. I mean, maybe just touch a little bit about maybe some of the highlights of any projects that you guys are focused on with the Spanish Peaks Foundation.
Oh my gosh. I'm honored to be on that board, and the collaboration, part of what the silver lining is for all of this is the collaboration with all of the volunteer foundations in Big Sky, and how we're all pooling all of our financial resources and working together. The Big Sky Emergency Relief Fund is something that all the foundations are participating in, the chamber's participating in it, to make sure that our community is really our family. This is still a one-horse town. You come in, you go to the grocery store more than 2 or 3 times, and everyone knows your name and what you like. And it's there's a great old Indian saying that he who climbs highest lifts as he climbs. And so together with these opportunities, no matter who you are in the community or what your need is, whether you're a business or an individual suffering, we have resources for you, and we're doing everything we can to be able to process requests and get them out the door as quickly as possible.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. And like I said, Spanish Peaks Community Foundation, they were an integral part of that Big Sky Relief founding capital. So thanks for that. Joe, any follow-up kind of regarding real estate and everyone's big investment?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, Martha, thanks for, the words to the community, the words from a community member. I think those are really important for everybody to hear right now. There's lots of talk nationwide about the situation from COVID after we start to bounce back from this thing. Any idea sort of what you would say that the Big Sky market looks like in 6 months to a year?
I think it's a little early to make predictions. We're a destination resort, and our airlines really need to support our Bozeman as a route and get their profitability back in line. I think once they've fully recovered, Big Sky will fully recover. On the flip side, I think with gas and oil prices so low, our drive-in traffic, once the shelter in place is removed, could be really strong. And I think that will help the retail, the hotels, the food and beverage immensely to have our drive-in market back. Fundamentals, Yellowstone Park, right next door to us, Big Sky Resort, our golf courses, our hiking, fly fishing waters, our natural beauty really is the most exceptional in the lower 48.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, and yeah, we're all in this together, so we'll see how it goes. But really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for joining us.